soda bread. It is delicious. I make it all the time besides my regular yeast bread that I do, and it is quicker, believe me, and it smells delicious and it is very good. I enjoy it all the time when it's fresh, or even toasted the next day. So thank you again for joining me here, and welcome to V's Cooking with Love channel. If you wanted to, you can even make this gluten-free if you have to. I'm using a little bit healthier ingredients here because not always you want to live so dangerously. So I am really inviting you to explore different options out there, and believe me, you will really enjoy it. Like I said, make it all the time, and I'll walk you through all my ingredients. Of course, you can tweak them up your way and make it your version of it. Actually, bread, there's so many different breads out there. I mean, we all know it. Every neck of the woods of the world has its own version. Bread has been actually around, it's proven, for over 30,000 years out there. So yeah, everybody has their own recipe. And this is something that I kind of came up with. Like I said, I played around with these ingredients, and that's what works for me. If you have to make it gluten-free, go for it, because there's plenty substitutions that you can use out there with the healthier versions of the flour. But these are quite good, even though they are healthy. So yeah, let's cook. I use here 2 cups of whole wheat flour. You will need a little bit extra for some dusting and for the pan. And also here you have half a cup of oats. You can use almond flour, you can use rye flour. Keep that in mind. Rye flour, I love it. I use it all the time here too, instead of my oats. If you have regular oats, just grind them up in your coffee grinder and you have oat flour. If you have almonds, yep, again, coffee grinder, you have almond flour. There is even coconut flour. And we are putting half a teaspoon of baking soda and baking powder. You can make it all baking soda as well too. I've done it both ways. And these are our dry ingredients. So we will mix those first. I'm using one hand to mix it, one hand to film this. So just make sure you mix it very well, because one-handed it's a little bit difficult. So I'm just telling you, I set the camera down and I got really to it a little bit better to make sure all my dry ingredients are mixed. Later, our wet ingredients, I just made a little indentation here in the bowl and I just add them all up. If you really want to get very thorough, go ahead and mix all the wet ingredients in another container and just add them to mix it, everything else together. I kind of try not to dirty trillion dishes. So here I go with half a cup of yogurt. Normally soda bread, like the Irish soda bread, is used, they are using buttermilk. This is a little bit trying to cut down, and like I said, I use yogurt. 3 tablespoons of oil. I prefer to use grapeseed oil. It's up to you. I try to go, this one doesn't have any kind of taste, and it works very well. You could use olive oil too. 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar, and I'll add 1 tablespoon of honey in here. I love using honey as a natural sweetener. It has so many good health advantages out there. You can do your homework and figure out. Again, do not purchase that in your regular grocery stores. Most likely it has been processed, and it's more of a maple syrup becomes at that point than honey. So find a very good source out there, somebody that is local, that truly doesn't add any other ingredients, just the work of bees are there. And we are adding about 3/4 of a cup of water. You might want to not add all of it at once first, depends on what kind of flour you are adding. The mixture will be a little bit looser than the regular bread, than the yeast bread, because of the white flour has more gluten in it. So just keep that in mind, that you can always add more of that water And if it's too loose, guess what? Just add a little bit more flour. This bread is very forgiving. It's something that even with your kids' help you can make it, believe me. And I just mix it all up a little bit like this first. And then I also add one more ingredient. It's a spice that it has so many health benefits out there. It even helps with production of milk for moms out there, just so you know it. But yes, it is antioxidant. It's anti-seizure. It has it's good for your eyes. Oh my gosh, it's caraway seeds. I hope you cook with those. I love adding this to that bread, and I say tablespoon or two and go for it. It has a unique flavor that I just love in this bread. And you see, I just mixed it up a little bit with my hands. Eventually the mixture will be less sticky when you work things out by hand. Yes, you could use some kind of mixers, food processors, if you don't want to go for just mixing it up with your hand. I don't mind, and I actually like it just because that way I get a feel of it to see where I'm at with the texture of it. So you see, it's kind of loose, but not really. And eventually it won't be as sticky to your hand, and it will work itself out. And like I said, you don't have to wait for any kind of rising like the regular bread. And you see, it's very easy to work with, just like I'm showing you here. My fingers are clean at this point. And here comes a little bit of extra flour on a baking sheet that I laid with the parchment paper. Yeah, you can use some kind of cooking pans that you have. You can make a square bread if you wanted to, but I kind of like it to make it either round or oval. And look how beautiful it looks already. And just coat it a little bit with that flour, and that way you can make a nice little ball like this. You can double that recipe, of course. This is a smaller recipe here. It will give you about 1.25 pounds of a bread. So if you're looking for something bigger, just add percentage of the ingredients. You can make it 1.5. And yes, please let me know what you think about the ingredients, or maybe what kind of substitutions you came up with. And you want to score that bread a little bit. It's not only decorational, but it also helps to rise nicely in the oven. You can put some kind of cuts. Just use nice and sharp knife. You might want to dab it in the oil if it helps. Mine, I didn't even have to do it. I have some good knives. So yes, we are baking that at 375 Fahrenheit or 190 Celsius. Yes, you could go up to even 400. You will bake it for about 40-45 minutes. And here you have this beautiful, beautiful bread that smells incredible. You want to let it cool off a little bit. I know it's gonna be a long wait time. No, just, I don't know, 10-15 minutes maybe. That's all I can normally stand it, because I cannot wait to have that first slice of that bread. You can enjoy it just even with honey, but it's so good, I'm telling you. That rye flour, if you try to cook with rye flour, it adds additional different flavor. Every flour out there will add its own personality a little bit to it. So keep that in mind, that you can try things out and figure out which flour works for you. Because all that love that you're gonna add when you are cooking this bread, believe me, your whole family will enjoy it. And it is good the next day too, especially when I like to have it just toasted. And I even enjoy it in the morning with my coffee, just a slice of that bread out of the toaster by itself. It's something that it keeps you a little bit more filled, and it has healthy ingredients here, and believe me, it still tastes good. So if you don't want to tell somebody that this is a healthy bread, yep, you can get away with that. Look how nice and airy it is. You see all these little bubbles of air when you slice it open, and it is really enjoyment. I look forward to making this bread. I don't make it big because I want to make it fresh, because I really enjoy when it comes out of the oven and I can have and splurge on that piece of that nice bread. Do you see? So I hope you will try this recipe. Let me know what you came up with, what kind of changes maybe you made. Like I said, I experiment with it myself too. Keep it in mind, yes, you can make it gluten-free. So of course, thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, blessed bread. We'll see you next time.